Senator, and his son, Teddy, who went along on the trip. And good morning to both of you. Thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How did what you see there compared with what you thought you'd see, what you'd been led to expect?
Well, they often say that a picture is worth 1,000 words, but in this instance, the scene was much worse than we could possibly imagine. It's the pictures that we bring back are of children whose arms are so thin that you can't even inoculate them, flies in children's eyes, the children being so weak that they can't even sweep them away, the coughing of sick children that are dying from respiratory illness and sickness, the cold of the night in windy plains. These are all scenes that one sees, but until you feel it with your fingers, it's awfully difficult to describe.
Senator, you said you wrote in the article that you went there to see whether the charity efforts were making a difference. Why would you think they weren't?
Well, first of all, I'm a great believer in the voluntary agencies because of involvement in the problems of hunger around the world. And I think it's very important that the American people understand that those agencies are making a very big difference, and the contributions that are being made today are really saving the lives of children and others in Ethiopia and in the Sudan. The major church agencies, the reputable ones, the ones that come to mind, like CARE and the Oxfam, the Catholic Relief Services, all of those make a very important difference, and it's important that Americans understand that their contributions really get to the children and make a very big difference. And secondly, that the people that are working in the field really are the ones that ought to get the Profiles and Courage Awards. They're doing outstanding work.
Ted Jr., you were there over the Christmas holidays. Looking back on it, do you consider it the best or the worst Christmas you ever spent?
Well, I think certainly it was clearly a Christmas that I will never be able to forget. Just being in the camps, as my father says, is an experience that you can that is really hard to describe. I think the real wrenching part of it, I think, is that people are really dying and children are dying for things that can be prevented. Measles is a big killer. One must remember that while it gets hot in the desert, it gets freezing cold at night, and children often die of exposure. I've been in cancer wards before. I've seen people dying. So that wasn't just the only shock of seeing thousands of people dying. It was just the sheer needlessness of the deaths.
I ask you both, do the Ethiopians who are starving there, do they know that the world cares about their plight, or do they think they've been forgotten?
I think the ones that have the opportunities to get to the centers and to meet some of the voluntary agency people do know and do care. We hear a great deal about whether they really are grateful and appreciative. I think they are. That's probably the least important factor. We ought to be there and willing to help them because they are in need, but clearly they are grateful. The United States knows how to grow food, and we know how to distribute it. It's, I think, an extraordinary opportunity, not only a responsibility, but an opportunity to respond to the immediate needs and then to get about the business of long-range needs.
Ted Jr., you became kind of a Pied Piper to the youngsters out there. How much real hope do they have that their suffering might soon be at an end?
I think that there really is an enormous amount of hope. I'd like to just echo what my father said, and that is a relief is getting there. I've worked in those in the kitchens. I've worked in the intensive feeding care programs, and I've helped inoculate children. Things are being done. We've seen it with our own eyes, and I think there is an enormous amount of hope. I think a lot more needs to be done. But I think that the situation really is a hopeful one, although it may be despairing.
Senator Kennedy, as a final note, I ask this not as journalist to senator, but as father to father. Why did you take your children?
Well, they wanted to come.